Just a sec, you guys. Ooh, gonna, this one looks a little bit better, so you guys can at least see us.
TV land.
Okay, to everybody out there, hello, hola, konnichiwa, salam, ciao, namaste. Peace to all. This is the Pink Elf in the Room conversation, and what we will be talking about for today is simply about the truth and the whole truth. And what that simply formulates to is what we're in this world. Many of us, of course, to some degree are enlightened, but the problem with a lot of us is the fact that there are certain things we're unwilling to accept to allow ourselves to grow. So it can lead us to being stagnant in life and stagnant in where we desire to evolve into and being truly who we are. uh, Pushing yourself is vitally important to get the ball rolling in who you truly are. And I have a guest, of course. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, shalom everybody. My name is Yohanan Yaakov Ben Elohim. I am another fellow brother in the spirit, in the truth. Um, Greetings of peace.
Okay, let us begin then. So we're gonna have a discussion about this. If you guys feel this resonates with you, don't hesitate to leave hearts. Don't hesitate to comment in this discussion because this is a discussion between all of us. Leave likes, leave hearts, leave whatever you desire. Comment if you feel you desire to know more or you have your thoughts on it. I will be going into deeper detail in a actual individual video of this, but we're gonna get deep into this right now. So, one of the things we were talking about earlier was about the simple fact of uh, how a person acts. We were talking about being compassionate.
Yes,
And what we were pretty much saying was uh, being who you are. And that's something that's hard for most people to catch on to because we live in a world where we're constantly doing things.
yes,
We're doing things to become things, which puts us in this backward stage. Kind of
definitely.
like we're what do you call it? We're reverse running backwards. We're just going back, and we're wondering to ourselves, why am I not getting to where I need to go?
Right,
But you
right,
keep going
right,
backwards,
right,
and you go in the opposite way where you need to go.
right, right.
So when you're just being who you are, in a sense, and that means acting, whether it's your wealth, your love, your kindness, your generosity, and who you are, how would you act is the question. And when you can find those thought processes to get to that area of who you are, you can be truly who you are. But the problem is, most of us aren't willing to see it that way, or we're constantly, rushing to overexert ourselves to do things.
Well, yeah, I think I think it was a big thing that we talked about earlier. Guilt, um, guilt and not understanding or not having enough reflection in one's life. Not understanding um, that those blockages or those hurdles that you went through in your life not only made you stronger, but if you can look back on them in the right mind state, in your awokeness, because this is kind of what we're talking about here. There's a lot of people who are awoke but have denied their form of godliness. I subscribe to certain uh, verses out of the scriptures, and that's one of them. There are many people that are walking the earth that have knowledge, that have power, that have truth within them, and they are denying that form. If they talk to somebody passing them on the street, they have within their mind something that's telling them, "Hey, I want to say hi to that person." Well, then why aren't you saying hi to that person? What's stopping you from saying hi to that person? It can be whether you have, race is a big deal right now that we're going through. There's a lot of black and white um, tension in the world that I honestly feel that having compassion, understanding not only that um, you know these quote unquote black people have been suffering for the last 400 something years. So it would behoove me as a police officer to understand that me coming at them with a weapon, with a gun, giving them commands like a slave master, that they're going to feel some type of way. On the flip side of that, at the same time, me as a young black youth looking like I am a danger, that the fact that this police officer even has to have a weapon to begin with, to deal with me, knowing that most likely I'm not armed. Understanding my godlyhood, understanding the type of weariness that he has to approach men of our stature, whether they be in the hood, whether they be in the universities, very powerful people. And when you understand that power, you can have more compassion and move in a sense that is, how can I say, I was talking about the sun earlier, right? The sun having the most, the sun is the most powerful entity within our universe, right? Coupled with the moon, of course. But the sun is constantly beaming, constantly giving energy. Not everybody's using the sun. Some people are inside the house. Sometimes the sun's on a whole different side of the planet. But he's constantly serving, constantly serving. The scriptures talk about the greatest among you shall be your servant. So you gods that are out there claiming yourself to be God, but you're belittling people instead of uplifting people.
It leads to what I was talking about earlier.
Man,
we were stating this, that pretty much what you see in others, you see in yourself. It reflects upon you.
Right.
So if you look at people in a sense that they are a slave, or you see them as lesser, that you're just a horrible person, etc., you are deciding right now that is truly who you are. What you see in others, you see in yourself.
Definitely.
If you have to say to someone they're a horrible pig and whatnot, and they'll never do anything with their life, that will be a reflection of who you are, that you are not desiring. Even if you get there, let's say you do get all that, right? We were discussing this too. There are many people who have all the riches in the world, but they manipulate everything around them to get more, and they feel there's not enough. And that is because, again, what you see in others, you see in yourself. You want to talk about, like, well, I'm the smartest, the greatest, I have the wealth and everything, but then you have this hole in your heart because you're telling people you're not good enough, you'll never get to my stature, whatnot, and you feel that way. There was even a man I recall, who was a billionaire. He was a German man who was making, I believe it was $6 billion. And he lost about $3 billion in his business, and he immediately decided that he would do suicide and kill himself because he felt like he was a failure. Just over $3 billion. When that was not even the important part. Again, what you see in others, you see in yourself. He saw himself as less, even in the moment of having that much wealth. $6 billion is a lot of money, period. And he had that opportunity where he could have possibly even changed that with the billions of dollars he had left over. But instead immediately killed himself, believing that I'm not good enough because I lost $3 billion, so I'm done with life. And the thing is, if you look at it from that perspective, then you could see it, of course, as a horrible life. But if you look at it as a perspective of, I can create something new again and again, you will create that which you have.
Yes.
We look at, for instance, money and whatnot as, if we lose a certain amount of money, we can't get it back, so we gotta now work harder to get more money. Instead of looking and surrounding around us the small things and realizing that there is constantly more where that will come from, instead of worrying about, how am I going to pay for this, how am I going to do this, oh my gosh. Instead of panicking, push forward intentionally what you desire to choose in life. Don't worry about the fact of, I don't know what to do, I don't know. Intentionally make it happen, and it will happen. And if you're consistent, if you choose to say no to whatever anyone says to you, it'll come to fruition one way or another. It might take time. It might take maybe 1 year. Maybe it might take a few months. Maybe it might take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years or so. But if you are consistent in getting to where you desire to go, that you say you desire to go, it will happen. We were just discussing, for example, Warren Buffett. At age 50, he became wealthy. Now, for some people, they might think, well, that's a long time to get to that point. Well, it took him that time, but one way or another, he was still being consistent enough to get to that wealth.
Right.
While others are not that consistent, they will give up at a certain point, believing that there is no way I can gain what that person is because I'm not good enough or because everything's rigged. And it's a choice to believe that. If you choose to believe that, that is the choice that you are creating. If you choose not to, that is the choice you're creating. The person who chooses for it to be real, they put in position those entities that are actually doing those things to block people.
Right.
But there are people who create things, they are putting entities into place that actually create those things they desire. It's
Yes.
choice.
Yes.
If you what you have to realize, everything you say and think is energy, and energy can be turned into actions and manipulated and manifested into things you either like or dislike.
That's right.
It's a choice. So hence why, be careful what you think and actually choose what you really desire instead of letting someone choose for you. The whole truth of who you are is to choose that part.
You're talking about betrayal of self, right?
Yes.
We have to be true to ourselves. Whether you think you're gonna make it or not make it, take the jump. You got to take the jump because you don't know what's gonna happen. Worrying, I think Will Smith is talking about this. Worrying is like it, it's self-suicide. When you don't know an outcome, but then you automatically assume 50 billion outcomes that can happen possibly, you're already defeating yourself. You've already taken the platform out from underneath your feet. We can't when your mind says speak, your mouth speaks. There should be no difference between the way that I feel, like if I want to give my brother a hug, or if I want to give my brother some love, or if I want to say something to somebody that's going to uplift them. It should be that quick. It should be in a thought. It should be in a thought process. You are in control, period. God gave every man control over his life. Take control. We got to stop letting these systems um, dictate how we should feel, what we should do, what we should eat, what we should drink, what we should wear, and realize that, you know, just as my king says, you are just like the dandelions. Why do you worry about what you can eat, what you can drink, what you can wear? God has given it to you already. It's already in your mind. Manifest that which you need to put on your garments. Your beautiful garments, whether it be a smile, whether it be the knowledge that my brother right here brings, that a sister brings. We were talking with an elder earlier today, me and the sister Kemet. We were in between where we are in Medina and LA, and we stopped at a really really nice African shop, and we sat down with the elder for a good hour, and we got taught basically that it is pure love that brings people into the fold. Feed them, clothe them, house them, um, give them that which they do not have, and understanding that you didn't have as well before you got. And if the more of us think like that, and that constantly is resonated through methods like this, through podcasts, through YouTube channels, whatever, and we get the collective consciousness back on plane, back on track, I think it's gonna work out fine. I do. I know there's a lot of branches that are out there right now. There's a lot of religions in the world. There's people that are rising up for their native hoods. We have a lot of native Indians who are claiming their tribal ancestry. We have a lot of Hebrews that are rising up, a lot of Israelites, a lot of people that are claiming their Egyptian ancestry. But you're all of the African family. We are all of this spiritual family, and if we can understand that we have labels, just like my name is Sean, like my name is Johanna, like so on and so forth, it's going to, you know, he's not this body. You know what I mean? He is inside here. You know, I'm not this body. I'm inside here. You know, you guys aren't these screens that we're looking at right now. You're inside that camera. That's who we're talking to.
And to add on to what he's saying, besides just what you are in here, you have to realize you are a three-part being
Hallelujah.
of body, mind, and soul.
There you go.
And the hardest part for most of us, because too many of us, we're going by what the body says. Feed the body, clothe the body, give the body stuff, the things that it wants, and so on and so forth. Because I want to feel pleasure, I want to feel good, I want to feel like full, whatever goes on with the body, we
Right.
desire to fulfill. We have to keep a balance of that with, of course, keeping your body healthy. This is your temple in a sense. You take good care of it, it will take good care of you.
Yes.
You drive a car around, and if you take good care of the car, it will take good care of you by making sure it won't break down.
That's right.
And that's a very true statement. The
Simple.
same would go with a house, an apartment, anything. Your electronics, you take good care of them, they will take good care of you by making sure they work.
That's right.
So you have to make those choices. And your mind, you have to be willing to meditate for yourself. Give yourself that knowledge and growth and understanding of who you are to progress and evolve in being something more and learning and evolving, because most of us have not really, we get to a certain extent, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this before, where people get to an extent where they finish college, I'm done, I don't need to learn anything,
Right.
and I don't need to do anything, you don't need to tell me anything because I got a PhD or I got a master's or I got a bachelor's.
Right.
And we don't realize that this is an ongoing process.
Yes.
You have to be willing to progress within self of who you are, extending fully to become something more. If you are so full of yourself in being someone who looks at papers as this is what I am, in a sense, this is what makes me, I don't need to do that studying stuff anymore, then there's a flaw in that statement. Continually learning allows you to grow in understanding. And not only that, you need to also understand the soul.
Yes.
When you are starting to understand the soul, you will understand the simple things, such as the fact that you not only are infinite, you cannot be killed, in a sense. This physical body, yes, it can be killed.
Right.
That is a very true statement, but you are not this body, as he even said. You're not this body. You are a soul. It can't be killed. And on top of that, you just realizing the fact that you are one. We were just talking earlier that many of us on this planet believe ourselves to be separate. We believe we're separate from other people, we're separate from other sexes, we're separate from other religions, other races. None of them are like how we are. I'm the better person, they are not. I'm black and I'm better. I'm white and I'm better. I'm Mexican, I'm better. I'm Spanish, I'm European, I'm Indian, I'm
Right.
better, I'm Asian, I'm better. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody's better than anyone else because everyone is one in the same.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you don't see that because of the simple fact that you see colors. You see physicality as being the process of who you truly are. You believe that to be the real art. You don't see things for what they are. And this was another thing. You remember this. We were talking about simply most of us do not make observation and choices. We will say, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to say, well, I observe things. I always observe things. No, we don't. We observe things the way we desire to see them. We don't observe them as they are. So we will tell someone that we'll have, of course, the saying that there's his truth, her truth, and then the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth. Why does it have to be that way?
I want to go back to what you were saying about, once you come into the union, that's it. That it's not it. That's like saying, just because I got to the top of the mountain, I don't got to climb back down. You know what I mean? Like you got to go home, right? The journey is never over. People get married. People get married and they'll think that they said I do, and that's it. And that now it's all gonna be peachy keen. No, this is when the real thing happens. This is when, as the scripture says, when you finally die to oneself, when you surrender unto the spirit, unto the energy, unto the universe, you're gonna start to see the darkness that is really in the world, and it's gonna try you, and it's gonna come against you, but you gotta stand firm. Stand firm in that there have been many who have come before you, who have succeeded in this truth, and that they are your energy. They are your ancestors. They did it before. You have people to look to for 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 guidance. You have people to look to for examples. There's elders, and there's things within nature all around you. When the rose grows from the concrete, that right there, that right there should teach you something. Concrete, something that is man-made, cannot even stop creation. God, spirit, energy, kundalini, whatever you want to call it. You can't stop it. So even when I just said that, when we have something rising within ourselves, if we try to stop it, it's going to destroy that which is man-made. This body is man-made. This is not.
Well, technically, this
You know what I'm
body isn't
saying?
even close to man-made because it's made from all sorts of hybrids and everything.
But I mean, like my experiences. You know what I mean? We throw on a person. We throw on a body. We throw on that which is not us. We are light. We are energy. We are spirit. But if we continue to move as if we are this physical, that's only what we're going to be, is physical. And the spirit is going to destroy, and it's going to literally burn you up from the inside, like the rose that broke through that concrete. It's going to happen no matter what. Now, whether you want it to be a painful process or whether you want it to be a beautiful process, is up to you. And it's up to us as awakeners, as people who are awakening to this truth, to teach and show and experience that we are witnesses of this truth, that this is real. The spirit is real. God is real. That you're not here for just no purpose. You have a purpose, and that purpose is beautiful, and that purpose is going to manifest itself whether you like it or not.
And we're going to end it here for today, but you guys, in conclusion, truly look deeper into what's going on. Observe everything. Um, Realize what you are choosing and what you are being in any sense. And all that is happening around you to become more of who you are. Evolve, progress. Don't just stagnate and think that's the end of what you are being. Realize you are so much more. Realize that you are amazing, you are beautiful, you are magnificent, you are divine. You are the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within this world and the next. So remember that to know thyself is to know the creator within. To everybody out there, have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.
Shalom.